G'day guys and welcome back to Raging Rhino. Alright, I just finished watching the Clone Wars. For those of you that celebrate May the 4th be with you as Star Wars Day, well, May the 4th be with you. For those of you that wait for the 25th, we'll wait till the 25th and we'll say Happy Star Wars Day on the 25th of May. Anyway, like I said, I just finished watching The Bad Batch. In isolation, this episode was fine, I suppose. It tells the story of the Bad Batch going through the events of Order 66. They bring back Kanan Jarrus, or Caleb Doom, from the Rebels series, so that we get to see him, see his master get killed in Order 66. That was a good scene. I did like it. Again, in isolation, it's cool. The thing for me is that I've got to separate now Disney Star Wars with Star Wars. So in Disney Star Wars, there was nothing over-offensive in this episode in regards to law breaking. There wasn't any character destruction or anything like this from my point of view. And again, I haven't read the expanded universe or what they've got in regards to any expanded universe stuff from the Clone Wars. So I don't really know. Again, I've got nothing to compare it to. So in isolation, the episode was fine. The one thing that I'm always looking for in Disney Star Wars is, of course, their identity politics and the bullshit that they're bringing into Star Wars. Now, it's hard to say because, again, we're so hypersensitive to woke culture within our entertainment that I find this one a little bit hard. They found a way to make a clone a female. And they made it a defective clone, so it's a part of the Bad Batch, and of course that is the entire premise of this episode. I will also point out that this episode went for approximately an hour. It was like a mini movie length episode, so it was its own story in isolation. And of course, moving through the episode really quickly, you've got the Bad Batch going through their Order 66, then they're all going back to Kamino to all get tested. Tarkin shows up to test them. They go through their test, and the problem is that majority of the Bad Batch clones aren't affected by Order 66. The only one that is Crosshair. And of course, he's sort of battling with this a little bit. It hasn't completely taken over like it has with the regular clones, the regs as they call them. And that's where the confrontation sort of comes in within the Bad Batch themselves. So they've set up a really good story, I think, within there. The thing that it really comes down to is, of course, inserting this female clone child to the Bad Batch. And it honestly feels like, to me, it comes across as forced, trying to force in a female character into the Bad Batch series. And that's just how I see it. It really does come across as, you know, the Force is female. It's almost not the Force is female anymore for Kathleen Kennedy. It's Star Wars is female. So you got to have a female character in everything. First time picking up a blaster is a crack shot at it. I don't know. I'm actually curious to know how everybody else felt about this episode. I'm someone that did like the Clone Wars. I'm someone that did like the biggest thing that I did like in the Clone Wars was the clones themselves and their stories and how individual they actually are. And I've also always throw credit out to Bradley D. Baker, the voice actor that voices all the clones, because he does a really good job of separating and giving each clone their own identity. So that's one thing that I really liked and one thing that I was really looking forward to with this series. But again, it feels like they've put some forced diversity in there, adding this female character. And I don't have a problem with female characters. I really don't. But this just comes across that way. It's like, okay, these are clones. They're clones of Jango Fett. And now we've got a defective clone that just happened to grow with female organs. And I don't buy it. I really don't buy it. The action in this was fine. There was nothing really out of place. They really gave the characters, again, each character their own individuality. The other thing too is at the end, of course, there's this sort of standoff between Crosshair and Hunter, and they've enhanced the chip that's in Crosshair's head to make make it sort of take over him more. And of course, that's going to be the setup for this series, I think, is the fact that Crosshairs is going to be hunting them down. I don't know if there's going to be any more Jedi showing up in this series. I'm sure they'll find a way to insert some Jedi and some Force users into it in some way, shape, or form. I'm sure that Kanan Jarrus is going to come back, or Caleb Doom, depending on who. I don't know exactly his story, so we're obviously going to see that. And Freddie Prinze Jr., one person who actually has no idea how Star Wars works. 2 + 2 = balance. Like, his whole rant thing that he went on, everything that he said was wrong. I've actually done a video on that. I'll leave the link at the end of the video, at the end of this video, and I'll also put the link of that in the description below, so you can check that out. I had an absolute ball, absolutely tearing him apart, and I got angry. It was a good rant, it was a good rage, it was really, really good, so check that out. But again, bringing him back, I will say he didn't do a very good job in making himself sound younger. Now, I know that's not an easy thing to do, and of course voice actors are voice actors, but there are some really good ones that can make the same character sound younger than they actually are, and I think Ashley Eckstein does a really good job of that. Freddie Prinze Jr., he just sounded like Freddie Prinze Jr. voicing this actor. And you could really hear Kanan's voice as an older man in this child's voice. And I don't exactly know how old he is. I think he's 14 or something like that. I'm not too sure, but I'm sure we'll get more of that as we go forward. That's my initial thoughts on this. I really don't know how to feel about it, because I just don't know how to feel about Disney Star Wars at the moment. It's really that simple. Well, I do know how to think about it. It's garbage. But like, when you get an episode like this where they're not really, again, doing anything too offensive, it's telling a decent enough story within the universe, it was okay for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next week for episode 2. Later.